There we have our little Craftsman tiller. Now, I'm not a big believer in tillers. That kind of soil disturbance, it's not anything I like to do on a regular basis, but when you're bringing something new under cultivation, I sometimes will use a tiller. And also, this thing, let me get my hand in here in the shot for some frame of reference. This thing is tiny. It's a little Craftsman 536, I believe it's called. And this will be good just if you get a little weed growth on top of a flower bed, something like that. You just want to cultivate the top 4 or 5 inches of soil. So we're going to step through the process here of seeing what's going on with this thing. It hasn't been started in probably at least 7 or 8 years. All right, we're going to see what we can do about getting this old tiller running. And actually, the first thing that we need to do is kind of go through a little checklist that really you do with any kind of an old motor that hasn't been started in a long time and you don't know whether it's going to start or not, because there are 3 things that it needs. It needs fuel, it needs fire, and it needs compression. And that's usually actually the order that you check them in, but in this case what we're going to do is I'm actually going to reverse that and I'm going to check the compression first, because if it doesn't have any compression, there's no point in going any further. I'll just take it to the metal recycler and get rid of it. Fortunately, I used to do a lot of motorcycle repairs, and so I have a compression tester. So it's extra bonus that you guys are getting the super psychedelic lights going on behind me, the frequency of these fluorescents combined with the frame rate of the camera causing wacky things to go on, but I'm not going to mess with the settings right now. So it was kind of a comedy of errors, but I did get the compression checked on this little motor, and it does have compression. Archie, you all right? And it does have compression, and so the next thing I'd probably check would be to make sure that it has fire, and the way to check that it has fire from the spark plug, that the little generator or whatever inside is generating the spark when the cord is pulled to fire the spark plug, would be to spray some starting fluid in there. But the air cleaner on this whole thing is so filthy and nasty, I don't want to spray it through there, so I'm going to have to take it off. And some of the bolts look a little rusty, so I'm going to have to spray a little penetrating oil on there probably. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get it up here on the table so we can take a look at it and work on it. All right, now we're going to come around here and take this cover off, which I believe, this is what I believe is the air filter. Yep, there's the air cleaner. All right, so here we see the air filter housing. The little red lever there is the choke, actuating it back and forth. There's the carburetor throat. So now we've got access to spray some carb cleaner in here and see if it'll fire up. All right, big moment of truth here. Now that we have confirmed that it's got compression and I've kind of gotten the lay of the land of where stuff is here, we are going to, first I'm going to spray a little carb cleaner, give it a couple pulls, and then if that doesn't get anything, I'm going to try a little ether and give it a couple pulls, and we'll see if it'll fire. So if it fires, when it has something injected into the carburetor like that, that means that it's a fuel problem, because it has the fire. If it had fuel, it would run. It's just not running, so that means that it's the fuel carburetor. I had to wait a couple of minutes for some traffic to get by there. And we'll spray a little carburetor cleaner in the carburetor. We'll give it a pull here, see what it does. It's on, the choke is off. that's it. Okay, here comes the final piece of the puzzle. I checked the compression on the motor. The motor does have compression. So I pulled the air cleaner off and cleaned the air cleaner well and sprayed a little bit of carburetor cleaner down in the carburetor, and then gave her a pull. After just 3 or 4 pulls, the motor fired up and ran until it ran out of the fuel that was the carburetor cleaner. So at this point, what I'm going to do is put a little bit of gas in it, spray just a little bit of starting fluid into the air filter, give it a couple more pulls, and if it fires up from the starting fluid but then won't start running off of the gas once the starting fluid is gone, then that means it's not getting fuel. And at that point, I'm probably going to have to pull this top cover off here and get down in there and pull the carburetor and clean the carburetor real good. So let's see what happens. This is a 2-cycle engine, so this is gas oil mix. I'm pouring in here. Don't want to put too much, just in the event I wind up having to pull this tank. The less gas it has in it, the better. Gonna get out this can of starting fluid, give it a little shot of starting fluid into the air cleaner there. Make sure we're switched on. Choke is completely off. We'll give it a little choke. And let's see what we get here. That is actually kind of the outcome I was expecting. This sat for a long time, and the fuel that got left in the carburetor, I mean, this thing's been sitting for 7 or 8 years, most likely, without being started. So the fuel that was in the carburetor at the time that this got left has jellified and plugged up all the passages down in the carburetor, most likely. So we're going to try it one more time to confirm. Give it one more little shot of starting fluid, crank it. What's going to happen, I'm pretty sure, is it's going to fire up, and then as soon as it runs out of the starting fluid, it's not going to ever start running off this gas in the tank. So I think we may know what we need to do. It won't ever start running off the gas that's in the tank. So that means that most likely the carburetor's gummed up, and we're gonna have to get in there and tear the carburetor apart. So that's probably gonna be part 2.